Hello there, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Angela from artorai.com. Normally when I make cards I tend to stay in my comfort zone, make the usual square or rectangle or whatever. But this time I thought I would go out of my comfort zone and try something different, which I've never really made before. I've showed examples of cutting these cards. These are trifold cards, and I have shown examples when I've done my Crafter's Companion tutorials, which I'll link to in my description. But there are two ways that you can fold them. You can fold them, I'll show you this way first. You can fold it so you have two places to write in your card. So if you open that, you've got a little place there to write on, and then you can open that way and you have a larger place to write on, or you can put photographs or something there, kind of a little mini album. But this is the way I prefer. So the fold is at the right, and what you can do is just open it like that, and then you've got that big space in the middle to add your messages or whatever you want to do in there. I prefer this, and once you've cut your paper, that's when you can decide which way you want to fold it. The one thing I would change is that I've used a border die on both of these. Sorry, I always say die, a border punch on both of these. So I don't know if you can see there, it's not quite right because I didn't put this layer that I put on top, and on top of these three I didn't put to the top. I sort of cut it so it had a border, and so when I've cut the border you can see the white across the top. It's not a massive deal, but it's just something to remember. You don't have to do anything fancy with the edges if you don't want to. You can just leave them straight like that and you're still going to get a nice effect. You can use any dies you want, any papers that you want, any decorations that you want. I'm just going to show you how to cut and score the card and then leave the rest entirely up to you. The card size I'm going to be using is A4. So if you live in America or use different card sizes, then you're probably going to have to work out the measurements yourself for the actual scoring and folding. Just needs to be scored and folded into 3. But if you wanted to, if you don't particularly want to measure your card, you can put it in whichever trimmer you have. Hang on, I'll show you with my other trimmer. I don't think many people have the Fiskars trimmer, so I'll show you with a, what I would call a normal one. Right, so you have something like this. What you would do is you would put the card in long ways, turn it around, and then you would put the top into the groove there. And then what you would do is cut off however much that you wanted to on there. But I'm going to show you a way. If you were making cards like a set of these and you wanted them all to be the same size, well, this is a way that you can do it. Right. So I'm going to give you the measurements in both inches and centimetres, but from the top, measure in 2.5 inches or 6.5 centimetres. So 2.5 inches. Try and get it right. 2.5 inches. And do the same for the bottom right, 2.5 inches or 6.5 centimetres. And then what you can do is you can either cut it up there by hand, or you can stick it in your trimmer, which is what I'm going to do. So that pencil mark there goes into the track there, and the bottom one goes into the track at the bottom. And you can get 2 cards out of the same piece of card then, and there's very little waste. Right, now what we do, we need to do some scoring. Keep that blade out of the way. So make sure that the flat edge, this flat edge here, is at the top of whichever device that you're using to score with. We need to score at, let me have a look, it's 3 7/8 or 10 centimetres. So 3 7/8. If you look on here, these are divided into 16ths. So every 2 of these is an 1/8. So that means 2 7/8. It's going to be 3 7/8. So that means 3 7/8 would be 2 before the 4. So 3 7/8 or 10 centimeters. Flip it over and do the same at the other side. 3 7/8 or 10 centimeters. And this is where you decide how you want to fold it. So I'll just put this away. Now, as I said before, I want my bottom edge facing to the left. So you just fold it over like that, fold the back over like that, and here we have a small card. This is going to be much smaller than the ones I've made here because of the way I measured the card before I cut it. I'll just give you an example of just winging it. So as I said before, you can just take your card, put it in the track there, and move this around. I don't know if you can't really see that, but move this around till you get the width that you want, and just cut. And then it was 3 7/8. And there we go. Flip it over, fold it over on that score line, and then back on that score line, and you end up with a larger one. So it all depends on where you want the cut. You might want a larger one, like a longer one, or you may prefer a smaller one like this. Since I did the longer ones for my examples, I'm going to do the shorter one for this. And all I'm going to do is just show you how to put on the card, or the layers, and then where you take it from there is entirely up to you. So I'm going to be using this again. So now when you measure this end, it is just over 3 3/4. I want this at 3 5/8, so I have a nice little border around there. So out comes my trusty trimmer again. I'm going to cut it at 3 5/8. So if it was directional paper, I'd have it the direction facing me. Right, so I want this to go on there, and you can see there's quite a nice little border around there. So get the border as even as you can, so it's fairly even all the way around, the same distance all the way around. That's okay. And then get your pencil, and that's where the edge is, and that's where the other edge is. So we want to put a little mark about the same width of the border at either side. So you can see I've made a little mark there just down from that edge, and a little mark there just down from that edge, and that's where I am going to cut it. These are the 2 marks that I've made here, so I'm going to put both of those 2 marks into the track. So that one there and that one there, you can't see them, but they're both in the track there. Just try and get it centered. I think that's it. Cut it, and then that should fit on there like that. So you glue that on, and then you do the middle one. Don't do the inside middle one, because that's where you want to do your message and stuff like that. So you turn the flap that way and do exactly the same thing. So where am I? So again, try and get the border even all the way around. A little bit of one there, a little bit of a gap there, and again. And that will go in the middle like that, and then you would do the same for that back. So when you come to put your layers on, you can use all the same pattern, you can use different patterns. I like to use like alternating ones, so it would look like that. So that's how easy it is basically. There's a little bit of measuring involved, but it just looks really nice. And once you've done, just decorate it how you like I did with these ones. Cut your sentiments, add your decorations, and there you have some really nice cards. So I think I'll finish this one off camera and then come back and show you what I've done with it. Well, there we go. That's what I made out of this little tiny one. Just a sentiment with some foam behind, and it's a little die cut that I coloured ages ago. I have two envelopes, one full of sentiments and one full of little die cuts that I've coloured. But I quite like this small one actually. I think it's cute. It just stands up like that. So it all depends on what you want. You can have them any size you want really, but I must admit I do like this little one. That would fit in a 6x4 envelope, so you might not have a 6x4, but you can certainly make one to fit. That would be no big deal. Obviously you've got to consider the size of the envelope that you would need, or that you would need to make when you're making a card like this, because they are long. And this one is, for instance, this one's 8 1/4 inches, just under. So it all depends really on what you think you can use if you're going to be posting them. But anyway, that's my little take on making these lovely trifold cards. I just think they're so cute, especially that one. It's really cute. So if you're like me and you're a bit worried about going out of your comfort zone, then don't, just have a go. You're not going to harm anything. The worst that can happen is that you'll waste some card. But I mean, if you recycle that, then even that's not wasted, or you can recycle it yourself and use it for cutouts and things like that. So give it a go. If you do make a card using this tutorial, I would love to see it, either on my website, my Facebook group. Speaking of which, my website, I have set up a little survey on my website. It's just for my eyes only. It's completely anonymous, and all it will do is just help me to configure my videos and my website for what people want, not what I think they should want. So if you're interested in having a look at my little survey, it literally takes 2 minutes to complete. I would be really, really grateful. It would help me out a lot. So I'll leave the link in the description just in case you want to bob along and just have a look at that. But thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye now.